Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You are
to
no
watch somebody on stage
That's so amazing. It's so amazing to me
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
Wow, what a gutter opportunist he is. So now after the election, he has decided to put out a book about Biden's cognitive decline, when during the campaign and election season, he shut down anyone who ever brought it up. Shirley, what's your response to that exchange?
I think both were right. Two things can be true. I think she was mocking him, and I also think Jake Tapper is full of shit. I think he's a Jake Fapper or faker or whatever. But I think she was mocking him, trying to be funny. Whatever, I don't care. But he's the epitome of arrogance and this eruditeness that he's so above and beyond. But you're right. This book will go on the shelves. I think at midnight, the clock strikes 12, and the pumpkin is going to appear, and everybody's going to buy his book, read it, whatever. I'm not trying to put down his book, but how smug and arrogant can you be to only 2 years later or so to come out with this tell-all, and then you're going to take this road that you're innocent, hands off, the media is totally innocent, and blaming it on his handlers and keepers to a large degree, yes, but the media, you are complicit as well. Get away from me.
Complicit. I mean, goodness, they were actually in a cover up in regards to this. I want to get your thoughts on that, Nicole. That exchange there, reaction.
Listen, Tapper is an opportunist. He's a snake. You're right, S-Files. He's a little prick. You're right, Laura. Allie. He's all of those things. He was the main one, a ringleader, a leader in the cover up. But all of these books are going to come out because this is what Democrats do. They set up a false premise and then they make money on it. How many books about COVID did they write? The Russiagate, Russia. Everybody gets rich, and he's just the first one to take a bite out of the apple. Mm-hmm. He ought to be ashamed of himself, but he doesn't know what that feels like, because you actually have to have a soul to feel remorse for something that you've done. And he's a soulless little spineless little jellyfish of a man. I don't want to seem like I'm angry at Jake Tapper. I'm a little angry at Jake Tapper. As a journalist, he ought to know better. He should have known better. All of these people who perpetrated this fraud, all the way from the scamdemic, all the way down through Joe Biden, should feel like trash on the floor. They really should.
They should.
Yeah, Tyrone, what are your thoughts?
So there's that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts there, Tyrone?
Sure. First of all, Joe Biden never had a stutter. That's a damn lie.
I know. Thank you.
Maybe when he was
that's why she was talking about it, because he didn't have a stutter before.
He never had a stutter. When he said he didn't want his children going to school in a racial jungle, he said it without hesitation. Mm-hmm. Okay. When he was working with Strom Thurmond to resegregate the public school system. He's up there talking about corn pop and all that other BS. No stutter. Joe Biden never had a stutter. Okay. It was just covering for him because they knew he had a cognitive decline. And the media, by and large, is nothing more than the Democrat Party information wing, or propaganda wing. That's all they are. As far as Jake Tapper, look, CNN is a sinking ship. Thank God. And it's sinking slowly. And these dumbass rats don't have good sense enough to, well, I guess you can't jump ship when the only other ship is also sinking, MSNBC. So, they're in a slow motion car wreck. Good for them. More and more Americans are, choosing to watch programs like this. And I know I don't even have to see the analytics of the Pop and Politics channel to know that you're beating CNN. So the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. I mean, after years of gaslighting the American people, mocking our concerns, and labeling anyone who asks honest questions as conspiracy theorists or ageist, now they're publishing a book and pretending they were always in the know. And did you see, she wouldn't even let Laura Trump finish her sentence. He was so disgusted that she called out the cognitive decline. He wanted no parts of that then. So again, he's not a journalist. He's a con artist. And the same that protected Biden and shamed us for calling out what we all saw with our own eyes is now trying to cash in on the very decline they helped cover up. It's disgusting. And it really upsets me. It really does.
KJ, real quick, these people that go on, these Trump supporters that go on TV with these people, they need to develop stronger skins. Okay. Oh, yeah. This mamby-pamby, go along. No, Laura Trump, say Biden didn't have a damn stutter. If he's going to put you off of their airwaves, give them a real reason to.
There you go.
Okay? They got to stop dealing with these people with kid gloves.
Right. You're right. You are right. You're right, Tyrone. I mean, they say we're supposed to keep the decorum, and I guess you can still speak, you can be respectful, but we got to give it back to them just as much as they give it.
That's right.
There's not so much decorum when he's not letting you get a word out edgewise.
Right.
TV time, your window's shrinking quick. You got to hit quick and get on out of there. And Laura is a fantastically lovely person. And I'm sure she didn't want to do anything that would have, made the RNC look a little iffy or stepping out of line and that kind of thing. But there is a place for that kind of behavior. And I think that was the place. He's trying to rush you off the camera, girl, take your shot.
So,
You have to say, to our credit, patting ourselves on the back, yes. Even before the 2024 elections, I think up until 23, 24 time, on our show, we were asking who's running the country. We were concerned because we could see the cognitive decline. So, yes, I'm going to give us all kudos because we were asking that long before 2025.
Absolutely. We were asking that. We were talking about asking questions about the scamdemic, about the jab. We were asking questions and we were providing different insight on that as well. You are so right, Shelley. You are absolutely right. And speaking of this insight and what we saw and speaking truth about it, take a look at this. I mean, this has a different kind of look now that we know that he was struggling. Former President Biden was struggling with prostate cancer. This is him in an interview on MSNBC with Nicole Wallace, clip 3.
Well, and the ones that didn't vote for your bills but run on them.
That's right.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction and analysis to everything we just heard.
That tickles me every time I see it. Every single time I see it.
I mean, to me, I think about, because they talk about all of these side effects of prostate cancer, depending on where he was in the disease. I mean, he can have incontinence. It can be very painful at times. And I'm thinking maybe that's what was going on there. Because it looked like he had something in his pants.
Prostate cancer. That was
dementia.
Cognitive decline, okay? Mm-hmm. That was not prostate cancer. I don't even care if he was on prostate cancer medication and they tried to cover it up. That was not prostate cancer. To his demented credit, she did say thank you for coming on. And usually when you shake someone's hand and thank him, I mean, you know, in general circumstances, it's time to go, right? He just didn't understand. He didn't understand that the cameras were still on. You don't get that had nothing to do with prostate cancer.
He looked like he was ready to get up out of there. I mean, he looked like he had pooped his pants.
Think about this, though. Think about where we are. That was the president of the United States, and we're here. No, that wasn't a prostate cancer. That was the dementia. You know,
it was.
I know. Yeah. And you know what's sad about it is that as a nation, there are going to be a small number of the people who actively participated in this cover-up who are going to be like Rob P said in the chat, trying to cash out. You know, listen, I did my part. You know, I'm going to take the hit in social circles, but I'm going to make a couple million writing books, telling things that, you know, probably are 50% chance true, but who's going to check them? Because everybody else who's holding a secret is writing a book too. There's so many books coming. It is just like everybody saying, give me my piece of the pie. The sad news is like Tyrone said, this was the president of the United States. Allegedly the most powerful man in the world, had no idea of sense, time, and place, that he was sitting in a television studio recording a live interview. Thank God they didn't have him mic'd up to anything, and he just got up and walked out of the room. He had no idea where he is.
Now, let me ask you ladies something, because I know you said you were talking about the HIPAA laws, and you know, of course, as you mentioned, he had no obligation to tell the American people of his disease. But what about his cabinet? What about people who may have known or were on the inside and knew what was going on, knew about the diagnosis of his pancreatic cancer, of prostate cancer, and knew about his cognitive decline? Do you think as Americans, they had an obligation to tell someone?
Not necessarily, no. I'm sure they knew. Don't get me wrong. I think many people knew.
Now, I'm not talking about his physicians. I'm talking about, like you said,
like Tyrone said, the doctor takes the blame. Yeah. They are not obligated. They would have been in real big legal trouble had they done so. That again, I believe many people knew. Okay, maybe Joe Biden knew, or he may not even know now. But no, they do not. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever. There's a limited time when HIPAA, particularly as relates to the president and or vice president, can be broken. Very
what
limited.
About your thoughts on that, Tyrone? Just thinking of, what we call patriots, where you see something going on, you feel like it's a detriment or a danger to the country. Do you feel like someone should have spoken up?
Yes, because listen, now, not to the media,
right?
But inside that circle, think about this. The president is the commander-in-chief of the United States military. Okay. Unbeknownst to us, there are military actions going on all around the world every day of the week, okay, that require you to get up at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., all right, stay up for 12 hours, all right. So that's the president of the United States has to have a certain type of stamina. Hillary Clinton was right when she says, what are you going to do when you get that 3 a.m. phone call? Now, Biden, we think of 3 a.m., we know what he's doing. We know that it's going to take at least a half an hour for him to get cognate, to understand he exists. Okay. So to the extent that he has everything that may come with prostate cancer, yeah, I think that is something that the cabinet needs to know. And especially when you are going into another election cycle, okay, the people, we need to be able to evaluate his stamina, because that's a hard job. So again, I know we disagree on this point, but HIPAA be damned. You're not out here. You didn't just get, a skin graft over at Sinai, okay, and you don't want to tell your employer about it. No, this is the president of the United States.
Yeah, and my question is, because then I guess the opposite of it is people using the auto pens and making decisions for the president. That's so right. if we're not going to be patriots and stand up for it and say, hey, this isn't right. This is not fair to the American people. Then what they do, they cover up and they sign these auto pens and they make decisions on his behalf. This is what we've had for the last 4 years.
Everybody here, and I asked the audience, who do you believe was more likely running the war in Ukraine, Victoria Nuland or Joe Biden? And most people don't even know who the hell Victoria Nuland is, okay? But it was her. It wasn't Joe Biden, okay? Every Mayorkas was running immigration, not Joe Biden. Sweet Pete was running, things that should have had purview of the president in terms of transportation, but he wasn't. He was. Joe Biden wasn't. So that's what we're dealing with here when we get an addled president like Joe Biden.
I mean, not only that, but this is the party that pushed Jimmy Carter out on life support, covered up Biden's health decline. It's the same party. Look at this man. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember.
Yes.
It was absolutely disgusting. I was
Absolutely.
horrified.
truly
Horrified
was.
for his family. That was so obscene. Oh my gosh, I was horrified for him. He's not my favorite president by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a former president and he deserves so much more respect.
He's inhuman. That was inhuman.
That was
was.
so completely talking about he wants to come and see a plane. He's barely alive.
He damn well he did not vote for himself.
No, but this is what they do. They don't care about human dignity, human life, this country for that matter. They are driven by power. That's what it is.